Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Human Design Conversations. I'm Lynda Gaiao.
And I'm Sian Wilson. And
Yay.
Today we're talking about date 61.
Yes, in the fourth line. Let me just see if I can. So, do you want to share a little bit about you?
Sure. So I am a manifesting generator, 1-3 profile, and yes, playing in my design for a couple of years, and love these conversations to explore these gates a little bit deeper and see how the weekly gate changes are impacting us inside us and those around us.
Hey, thanks, Sean. So I'm Lynda Gaiao. I'm a 2-4 projector and also been experimenting in my design for about 2 years now. And it's just interesting that the deeper you go into the information, the more accurate it is, and how much just experimenting with it reveals to you the truth of it, as opposed to having information and just believing it. There's this this inner knowing that can't be denied. Yeah. And
that's
human design conversations is just an opportunity to keep diving deeper into the information and experimenting with it on a weekly basis, and just keeping your fingers on the pulse, as opposed to like learning something and then just letting it go, because it's so easy to get reabsorbed into the world around us as opposed to living our own truth. So it's good to keep touching base with the information and just seeing like, how does this affect me? Where am I at?
Yeah. I love that distinction between living it and feeling it and how it affects us personally, as opposed to just watching and learn. Yeah, as you say, learning, reading about it.
Yeah, because information is just information in a book, right? But until you like feel it within you, it's a bit different.
Yeah. I've got a bit of an analogy about that because I've been doing some mountain bike skills this week, and it was interesting how we were told the technique, and we were talking about it, and we were trying to think about it, but until we were actually on the bike, first of all, we tried to mentally do what we were being guided to do, and then ultimately, as the morning went on, and she was very clever, the instructor, because we got physically quite tired and probably mentally from concentrating. So towards the end of the ride, that's when it really started kicking in, the feeling of it, without the mental chatter and focus, and really like feeling it in our bodies more and deeply, ingraining it.
I mean, I guess if you speak to a lot of elite athletes, they do a lot of mental rehearsal, like preparation, visualization of things like that. But what I've found personally with myself is sometimes you can feel like you're going through it in your mind, the steps of what you need to do. And when it comes time, like for example, when I'm kite surfing, to try a new move that I've never done before, I can watch videos, I can see the steps and all of that, but actually sometimes it can get in the way of me actually being able to do it, because you get so stuck in, okay, I've got to do this, and then I've got to step here, and then I've got to do that, and then you just lose it. Whereas if you can just let go of all of that and just let your body move you, there's a different way of like, you just seem to get it.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's great with the sport, like with the sport you're doing, and I feel like with mountain biking even, the letting go is so important. So the new skill I've just been learning about being able to lift up over obstacles like logs, which I've never been able to do for 25 years of mountain biking. I had such a mental block about it because I actually have to let go and let the bike go and let myself go, and that's been another great opportunity to have an opportunity to let go in a different scenario, and that's what we're doing a lot of the time too. Letting go of who we think we are, of how we think we have to behave. So I love the experiences out in life that bring it all in together.
Yeah. Because like since the 31st of December, we actually been moving through a bunch of different stages of embracing the energy for the new year. And currently we're in stage 3. So stage 1 and 2 happened, from the 31st of December until a couple of days ago. And, the first stage was this kind of reflection, looking back at the past year. Where was your spirit really emerging? Where did you feel purposeful? And where were you wasting your energy? Like what was worth fighting for and what was a total waste of your time? And then we kind of moved from that gate 38 into gate 54, which is the sense of reflecting back on who in your life was an ally for you, who could you trust, who could you really rely on, because it's all about moving through the ranks or stepping up in the ladder, or however you want to term it. But essentially, unless someone can recognize your skills and talents, it's impossible for you to rise up through the ranks. So there's this tribal bargain that happens, like I'm going to support you because I see your greatness and I'm going to help lift you up, and in return, once you've elevated your status, you will then help the rest of us to rise. So that was all just about really understanding who in your network are those people that you can trust and you rely on. And now what we've moved into is this gate 61, which is the gate of inner truth. And it's this opportunity for us to just let all the details and information that we've reflected on over the past 2 weeks to just percolate, just to sit in silence and allow the inner truth to surface, because there's no forcing or pushing for it to rise. It's really a waiting game, because it's an individual channel, and it's going to have this energy which is going to come up or not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to reflect on the whereas society looks at the beginning of January as all this setting up resolutions and goal setting and going for things, when really the energy around us is about awaiting, reflecting, observing. I mean, that's often the case anyway in human design, but particularly at this time of year. So it's interesting, particularly with this mental pressure that people are 1st of Jan, the physical calendar year, feeling like they need to be pushing towards something, when the real energy is more of a waiting, reflecting, observing what's been going on, and that the energy to start moving towards things only happens in a couple of weeks. Or is it next week? I think it's
next week. Yeah, the middle of next week. In Australia, or in our time zone, it's on the 23rd of January.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and this is a reason why a lot of New Year's resolutions fall flat, because people feel this pressure. And there is pressure because both gate 38 and gate 54 in the root center, which is a pressure to this drive, this fuel to do something. And that's how it feels anyway. And so, and obviously there's a societal conditioning that this is the beginning of the new year, and this is what we should do as a collective society, is to set our energy for the new year. And so people feel this pressure to suddenly create these plans and these maps and these visions for the future, when the energy is not there for it. Because ultimately what we're working with here is a solar energy, and because the sun is really the most impactful on our energetic system in the solar system, it has a massive impact on us. And so trying to push and force in those first couple of weeks, in these first couple of weeks of the year, you're really going to fall flat because the timing's not correct.
I just had a thought about school starting, because a lot of the in Europe, their school starts in September, and they go to school. I wonder how that affects. If that's probably a bit more positive on this is the start of your high school, or big changes in life. It's nicer for it to happen at a different time of year rather than the actual calendar year.
I guess it'll be interesting when we get to those gates at that time of the year to see what's going on then, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's gate 61. It's in the head center, as you can see right at the top of the body graph, and it's in the middle, which means it's an individual channel, and the individual energy works in a pulse. So you're sitting with I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, and then all of a sudden, I know. And there's no framework in the individual channel to form a structure around your thoughts or what's going on. It just comes through in a pulse, and there's a knowing, in a spontaneous knowing. If we look to the left and the right of gate 61, we have both collective. One is abstract and the other one's logical. And so when you have the abstract, you've got this framework about the past, looking at the past and kind of deducing or creating this abstract process of looking at the past and formulating an answer around that. So there's a structure or a framework that you can kind of pin it to. And if you look to the right, which is the logical, it's all about looking at patterns and making predictions for the future based on those patterns. So once again, you've got a structure to work things around. And when you look at the 61, there is no structure. So it can actually be really frustrating, this mental pressure to know and having nothing to pin it onto. And so it can almost look from the outside like mental delusion, as opposed to anything of genius, which it can be genius if it comes through and it can be shared with the collective, if it can be formulated into a concept. But without gate 24, you don't really have that, right? So you just have the 61 kind of floating there with all these thoughts, and it's kind of this spinning around. Like these thoughts just go round and round and round and round, and there's this extreme pressure to know, and there's no knowing until there is.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Until there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, both you and I have the open head center, and this is such an interesting one for me to, because my mind is so busy anyway, to find sacredly somewhere else. To all those questions coming through, going, they're not my questions, or let them just run through and run through and until there's that little feeling of it dropping in as a knowing.
Yeah.
So that's been a big journey of watching the business, watching everything flow through. And again, with that knowing when it comes through, it's because this is a projected gate, it's when it's invited to share.
Yes.
So at this time of year as well, especially with people thinking about New Year's resolutions and New Year's ideas and goals, people might feel the need to grab onto one of those ideas and like do something with it, that it feels like it's the truth, but it needs to be really in response, an idea that settles into you in a sense of knowing, only in response though, only when it's asked for or your energy rises to it, not just a single idea that comes through is something to act on.
Yeah.
Because
there's because it's individual, it means it's mutative, but it can only be mutative if it's received, if it can be expressed. And so there's a lot of pressure on the 61 to know and to be able to share what you know. And I like the point that you said about there actually is nothing to do with this at this point. You almost just need to be lost in the discovery process, in the mystery of either knowing or not knowing.
Mystery, the gate of mystery. And it's also about wonder, about wow. Like that's what I've been doing a bit, is going, wow, look at all those amazing things. Because I had this idea yesterday that just came in, like it felt like it was already formed and happening. And I was like, wow, where did that even come from? I'm still wondering about where that come from, because it is actually a potential client did ask me for something that this feels like a solution to, but I'm still just going to sit with it, because it felt like, wow, where did that come from? but I'm not going to act on it yet. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that sounds awesome, and I can see maybe that's where it's there, you know, it's coming from. But let's just like watch it.
Because yeah, without Gate 24, you really aren't here to solve the mystery. You're just there to simply enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That can be challenging.
Because you know, when we do have the Gate 24 on the other side, which is obviously in the Ajna center, and this is about conceptualization, the 24 has got this ability to take the knowing and the inspiration and this inner truth that emerges and formulate it into a concept which can be shared if invited. So, you know, we're sitting here without, unless, I mean, it depends on your body graph. You may have the 24 on the other side, and we can maybe spend a bit of time talking about the full channel in a moment. But before we got onto that, I thought we could just focus a little bit on line 4. So at the moment, it's 64.4, which is Gate 61 in line 4. So this is all about research. And if you think about the nature of any type of research, it's this kind of gathering of data, this gathering of information. But at some point, you may have so many pieces of information, so much data, and so many different perspectives that you can feel like you get lost. Like, I don't actually know what to do. And this is the opportunity for you to almost let go of all the information, all the pieces, and just sit in silence to allow the inner knowing to surface. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, being able to sit with that, or allowing yourself to sit with that.
Yeah. Because if, you know, we've got the two sides. The first side is the capacity of concentration to explore the depths of inner truth and maximize its application to fundamental principles. The pressure to know the fundamental principles. So this is the pressure of wanting to know, right? And then the other side of it is where the tendency to expansion and integration leads to involving others in the research and may end in a diversity of confusing applications. The illusion that collaboration will enhance inspiration. Because ultimately, your inner truth is your inner truth. No one else can tell you what that is. And my inner truth is not going to be the same as someone else's. Even if we did the same research, we would arrive at different inner truths. And it's about giving people the space and the opportunity to have their own inner truth without needing to have competition or like making someone else wrong because it's not the same as yours.
I like that, because the fourth line, because you're a fourth line profile.
Yeah.
So the networking and collaborating with others is a natural thing that you do.
Yeah.
And so I love this, always the duality of human design and the gate. So, you know, this particular one is about sitting probably with yourself a bit more in silence.
Yeah.
Whereas other times it's so valuable to be collaborating with other people and building something new.
Well, I think it's both in a way, because even if you look back at the previous two gates before this one, it was all about reflection, about gathering all the pieces of information from the past to see, you know, and maybe in that process you're having conversations with people about like, you know, just bouncing things off. But ultimately, I think what this gate is saying, or in this expression of this line, is that someone else can't give you your inner truth. Like, it doesn't matter how much research you do or how much conversation or collaboration you do. It's not like somebody else is going to be able to cherry pick out of everything. Go, oh, here we go. This is your inner truth. This piece over here. You know, you've got to stop and just allow that silence to happen. And you're in every profile, like mine is a 4-2. The other side is the hermit, right? Being alone and having space. So yes, there may have been some collaboration or some investigation and some research, but then there's this opportunity to just allow the inner truth to surface.
Allowing it to surface, coming up from the wellspring of you.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do the channel. Excellent.
Yeah.
We both you and I only have it on one side. Which line do you have it in?
I'm not sure. I need to check.
I just had a look.
You can have a look because it's hard. Oh, I could look on my phone, I guess. But
Oh no, I'll look.
because my computer's being used right now for something for this presentation. I don't have a second screen, so I do have the 61. I think it's there we go, 61. No.
I have it on the 6th line. Where's you? Mine just threw me out on my phone.
Here we go. 61. 61.5 actually. 61.5 in Venus, line of influence. Yep, 61.5 is mine. And I have the 63 as well, which is the logical. But I don't have the 24. My ajna is actually completely undefined or activated.
You don't have the 47 then at all? No, because I'm just seeing. No, I have the 47 as well. Okay, so yours is undefined.
Yeah. So I guess, like, for me personally, this energy of the 61 this week has felt like a lot of pressure and this need to know. What's been happening is my mind has just been jumping all over the place, feeling like I need to be searching to find an answer. And how that's felt physically in my body is like this anxious feeling in my chest. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning of the week, I was actually a little bit freaked out by it because it felt so disturbing. And I almost expected myself to be in this silence, right? In this, like almost like in a meditative kind of space, just this allowing. But once you really start investigating the 61, it's one of the loudest and most busiest and noisiest minds of all the minds. And it can actually almost feel like you're going a bit mental. And I really felt like I experienced that this week because I'm quite a logical being and collective. So I'm used to having this structure and this way of kind of mapping what's going on in my life to this structure, and having the influence of the 61 so powerfully in our field at the moment, it actually felt a bit scary to me. The sense of like, I have all these questions and no knowing. And even when I was attempting to be in silence, it was really quite challenging. So I can imagine that anyone who has this channel would really struggle to have this feeling of no mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which for both of us, because we've got an open head center, is actually quite possible. It's quite easy to get to a place of having no mind, having this spaciousness in your mind if you stop and just let go of everything. But I think for these people, it's going to be quite challenging.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people who really try to meditate and have their mind completely clear, those people who have this this channel, it may actually almost be a physical impossibility for them to have a clear mind. And with my background in yoga and the focus of a lot of the gurus in yoga about stilling the mind and having a quiet mind, I really feel for those people who have been like trying really, really, really hard to have it quiet. When actually physiologically it's almost impossible. It's just not an option for them. So
I think for them what's a little bit more useful is like listening to music, because it's a very acoustic channel, and so just having music, some kind of other noise that's peaceful around them, will help their mind to continue doing what it's doing, but to find some kind of silence amidst the noise. Yeah.
And the same with like a meditation in motion, so a movement practice. where it's not a complete, like, you have to sit still and everything has to be blank.
Yeah.
Because that's a pressure center from the top anyway. So, giving yourself tools and ways to be more comfortable with the discomfort of the business
Yes.
of the mind, and watching the thoughts come and go, but not having the end goal being like no thoughts. More
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And getting to a space of it just allowing, right? Without having to do anything with it.
Yeah. You can just
Yeah.
watch it all happen. Wonder. Like, wow, that's an interesting thought. Or a sense of humor about it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Ross spoke about that, right?
Humor go. Yeah.
Because when we have the 24 on the other side without the 61, what we can get here is this pressure to make mental decisions, and essentially they're going to be not self-mental decisions, right? Because you're like, oh, I've got this information, or this knowing, I've got to make a decision from my mind. Because ultimately this channel, the 6124, is about bringing through new inspiration to share with the collective as a concept, for their mutation or for the collective's mutation. It's got nothing to do with about your own personal life, about making decisions like, I've got this brilliant idea, I've got this brilliant knowing, and now I got to do something with this, I've got to make a decision based on this. No, you've always got to go back to your strategy and your decision-making authority. This is just a genius channel or a freak channel, depending on who's around you, right? But it's about allowing the knowing to come in and then sharing it when invited to do so.
When invited, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, so it's known as you've got it up there, the channel of awareness.
Yeah, the design of
experience of knowing. Inspiration.
Yeah, going back to this, it's not really about discovering, it's just about the process of inspiration, about just allowing inspiration to come through. And I did talk about it before, it's individual, so it's not abstract, and it's not logical, so therefore it doesn't have the structure to pin anything on. It's just in a pulse, in a spontaneous moment, the knowing will come through, the inspiration will come through or not. And you want to get to the space of you here to know what is knowable and of value, and to know what is unknowable but of no value, and to know that you're not designed to know everything.
You're not designed to know everything.
Although you could feel the pressure. I think that's how I felt today. This week. Like this pressure to know the answers of the universe all in 2 days. And then the frustration of why do I not know? Like, I should be able to know. Why don't I know? So it would be interesting to speak to someone who has this channel.
Yes, I was trying to look through the people I know and see where it is, because that's a great keynote about that. The head center is the questions. Watching those questions and going, they are not my questions. They're not coming from an inner knowing from within me until they are.
But that's only for the open mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got this channel, then some of those questions are for you, yes, and they are your questions, but you need to be very clear with your strategy and your decision making, your authority and your strategy and your decision making authority about which questions are correct for you to investigate. Because there's going to be lots of questions, but you cannot know everything is one of the things about this channel. So there could potentially be this pressure to answer every question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from experience, the openness, the pressure to answer all the questions. But I guess the defined, that's just, you're also feeling that pressure.
Yeah, it's still a pressure sensor.
Yeah.
And they're really here to inspire other people and to give us an opportunity to potentially see a completely new way of doing something. And I think the pressure comes in for them here, where they're like, oh my goodness, I've got this most amazing thing, and I just want to share it with people because wow, it's going to revolutionize the world. And then there's this extra pressure comes in where they feel like, I'm never going to be able to share this with anybody. I'm never going to be able to express this in a concept where it can actually deliver this mutative potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful.
And the whole design of anything that's mutative is it's here to break any existing patterns, right? So whether they've come from abstract cycles or logical patterns, it's just like to shatter what is already, where people think that they already know everything, it comes in, it kind of shatters everything. Go, no, look at it from this perspective. Yeah. And it can bring a completely new realization, which is outside of what it already supposedly exists. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. But we it's important to let ourselves have the space for that to happen.
Yes.
So not grabbing onto thoughts and ideas, just to have the space so it can come through.
And remembering that it works in a pulse, so it is either going to be there or it's not. There's no forcing or like, I'm in control of this channel and I'm going to answer this question and I'm going to get a deep knowing about it. Remember, we've got to go back to the mystery of just being lost in the mystery of it. And if the pulse allows information to come through, then yes, your ajna can then take it, the 24 can take it and formulate it into some kind of a concept, which could then potentially be shared or not.
Yeah. So that there's the sense with this channel defined that people may feel, I don't know, and then the pulse comes through with, I know.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then,
yeah. So when they listen to music, it can help them to release some of that pressure of always feeling like they need to be thinking about something, and just that constant mental pressure to think and to think and to think and to think, because this is like a washing machine. You can have a lot of loops of stuff going around and around and around and around, until the clarity emerges, until the knowing comes through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that 24 is just waiting, it's like, I'm waiting for the pulse to come through, and then I can formulate this into a concept of some form. So I think people with this with the 24, because they're waiting for an inner knowing to come through. If they don't have the 61, they don't have the whole channel, you only have the 24, you can actually end up having a lot of headaches and things, because you're just like, why does this knowing not come through? I'm meant to be formulating a concept, but I've got nothing to formulate it around.
Yes. And if your not self theme is frustration,
yeah, it can further aggravate it.
Yes.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add about?
No, I was just trying to think if I've got somebody in mind, and I'm wondering if they have this channel. They've got that further down. Yeah. The pulse of not knowing, but it's that freak genius channel 4323.
Yeah.
So it's a further down, and it's more about expression.
Yeah.
But it's still part of the knowing circuit, still part of the pulse that runs through the center of the body graph. But I wasn't 100% sure, and that's maybe why or not, because she doesn't have it.
I do know someone who has it, but I only realized that they have it since investigating this channel.
Yeah.
I need to be a little bit more. I need to see now. Next time I'm around them, what it's like.
And if I'm perfectly honest, being a mangen focused on self-empowerment, I haven't really investigated the defined head and ajna and the channels around it, because I've been more experiencing the openness and letting the thoughts pass through and watching my own process. So I don't really feel I have that much to say about this but it's interesting. And now, again, like you say, looking at when I interact with people with this channel, being a bit more aware.
Yeah, just watching their process, how it shows up for them.
I mean, and it's particularly when this is undefined, there's always that mental pressure going on for us. So it's something I'm always watching.
So then in the next, actually on Friday, we're moving into stage 4 of this New Year's energetic cycle, into gate 60, which is all about letting go. And then from there we move into gate 41, which is all about the new experiential way for us as human beings. So the next, if we end up recording a video next week, we will already be in the energy of the new year. Next week Wednesday is when it happens in our time zone anyway. So I'd encourage everybody to just do their reflection, allowing their inner truth to surface, and then let go of anything that's holding them back in the next couple of days, and get ready to embrace the energy of the new year next week.
Yeah, and if it feels overpowering, we've always got our tools, like you were saying, Lynda, with music, or even journaling, just feeling that helps me a lot, writing, letting it out, or speaking, but it's not always great for anyone else because it comes out there sometimes, as you know.
Exactly.
But writing it all out, or talking to yourself, just getting it out, depending on your definitions, is using all your tools is always good.
And come back to strategy and authority.
Yeah, always. Strategy.
Yes, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this. You feel good with that?
Yeah, excited to be back doing these.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and possibly we'll be back next week. We'll see. It's always about us seeing how energy is flowing and what's happening. But I feel quite, I don't know if invested is the right word, but I definitely feel that the more you can experiment with whatever's going on energetically, the deeper you can anchor into your body the truth. And so pretty much since the beginning of this year, I've really tried to be as mindful as possible of what is going on with my mind and what's happening with my energy as these gates are transitioning, because we can get so lost in our day-to-day lives and the busyness of things that we forget to tune in to ourselves and see where we're at. So I'd really encourage you, if you haven't done anything yet, to spend a bit of time with that, so that when the energy of the new year comes in, you're free to let go and move forward. And we're in a new decade, and we have only 7 years left to go until 2027, which in human design is quite an important date. And so it's like a 7-year cycle is just about to begin until then. So it's quite exciting in a way to have already been living our design for 2 years and be in a position to like keep stepping in deeper. So I'm very grateful for it anyway.
Yeah, deeper.
And for both of us, there's depth, right? So it is about going deeper for us.
I just had a moment
skills
there.
And depths.
Deeper. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So maybe we see you next week, or maybe we don't, but I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Yeah, sending you lots of love. Strategy and authority. Mwah.
Bye.